everybody, it's Aaron back from Screen Stars, and I'm here once again to do another review for Geek, Legion of Doom. And today I'm here to review the 2018 found footage horror film The Lost Footage of LEAH Sullivan, a film that is co-written and co-directed by Burt Grinstead and Anna Stromberg, and also stars Anna Stromberg and Burt Grinstead. Now, this is a film that focuses on LEAH Sullivan, who's undertaking a school project. And you get your usual spiel at the beginning of this, like a la found footage writing at the beginning saying that this memory card was found from this camera, this footage is unedited, blah blah blah. The usual kind of stuff that you get in found footage films. And LEAH Sullivan is doing a school project. It's like a documentary, filming these locals at the town kind of where she grew up, and it focuses on a cold case murder that happened in this place several years earlier, and there was a family brutally murdered in this house. The culprit was never found, etc, etc, and she wants to investigate this cold case. She enlists the help of the police officer, Patrick, who is played by Burt Grinstead, and they kind of do this together, this project together. Anna Stromberg's character LEAH Sullivan and this police officer, Patrick. And what they uncover may in fact be a cold case that is not so cold after all. Right, so what did I think of the lost footage of LEAH Sullivan? Well, this film will depend very much on your thoughts on found footage films. If you're a fan of found footage films, there's plenty here for you to enjoy. It's actually quite well made, and by that the way it looks really professionally made for a found footage film. It's got this nice sheen and gloss to it. The performances are all really good. And by that I mean the people she's interviewing, they feel like real people, they don't feel like actors for the most part, and both the lead performances by Anna Stromberg and Burke Grinstead are also believable, so it adds a lot of credibility to the film, because it feels like an almost like a documentary style found footage film. And it follows the similar beats and patterns what you would expect from a found footage film. Interviewing people, build up, this cold case is discussed at length with a few different people. Details are discovered and found about the case by the police officer that were previously unreleased, that add more mystique to this story and terror and horror to the story. And it all builds up to the as expected found footage climax by the end, which is confusing, very dark, flashlights everywhere, screams, bangs, bashes, and the occasional glimpse of something here and there. So if that's your type of found footage film, I think you're going to quite enjoy this film, because it does have an awful lot going for it. I think clearly the people that made this have got quite a lot of affection for found footage, and they've delivered a reasonably high quality one here. The problem mainly with this film is some cheap scares here and there, and some enormous plot points here and there. For example, at the beginning, and the spiel at the beginning when it comes up with the writing saying this is unedited footage, blah blah blah. It's almost like a stranger's found it and has released it, and then at the end of it says, "I think she might be dead," making reference to LEAH Sullivan. Well, when you watch the bloody film, it leaves little to the imagination, and that the video, if had been released to the police, would have had serious repercussions for a few places and people, and I'm trying not to give spoilers away here. The police officer played by Burt Grinstead, who's also one of the directors, is probably the worst police officer I've ever seen in my life. He hits on LEAH Sullivan minutes as she arrives in town. Clearly they've got some chemistry, and that's clear on screen as well. In fact, I suspect it could potentially be a real life couple, because I've seen pictures of them together when I've researched the film. 'But that's by the by. He, he goes to this property with her a number of times, even though he knows he shouldn't. And this stuff that he uncovers about this cold case and the previous investigations, and actually it's a bit more widespread, like these missing persons and deaths and all this kind of stuff. He rather than go to the appropriate authorities, he takes it to her, and she's only doing a school project. It's not as if it's Steven Spielberg you're taking this information to. And he's got literally no power to stop her going to this house, even though he's a police detective. So a police officer, he's like the worst police officer ever. He just does everything that you shouldn't do as a police officer in this film. And you could argue it's because he likes her, because he clearly does. But still, there has to be some level of professionalism, and he keeps threatening, no, I can't let you do this, I've got to stop you, and he never does. So yeah, there's some pretty dumb police officer decisions going on in this thing that actually make you smile quite a lot. But I'm not going to lie, as a found footage fan myself, there are aspects of this film to enjoy, so I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It does get incredibly confusing by the end, and disorientating with the darkness and the flashlights and the screams and the bangs and the thuds, but no different than many other found footage films. It's one of those found footage films that I think, if it had a bigger production budget, they could have maybe filmed the ending a little bit better to show a little bit more and to really ramp up the tension and the horror a little bit more. What we really got at the end is just glimpses really of things that were happening. So that's my review for the lost footage of LEAH Sullivan. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you back on the channel for more reviews on Geek, Legion of Doom.